So good day everyone, my name is Aying, and to today's discussion we will discuss or we will talk about the Bangladesh English. So the first question is how English arrived in Bangladesh. So how English arrived in Bangladesh. So the history of English in Bangladesh can be divided into three pieces of the political history of the nation, reflecting the changes rule and the status of English. The region of English in the Indian subcontinent is linked to British colonial rule, which is originated in 1757 to 1947. The first encounters between the Indians and the British date from the 1630s when English was actually thing, and then factories were set up in Bengal. So initially, English was a language of trade between English factors and a local go-between. So Zaman 2003, with no commercial and institutional opportunities for its learning, the scope of learning English was widened in the next century with the establishment of English. So schools initially for European English and later for locals with the aim of spreading Western knowledge, English and English literature. So that's English in Bangladesh. So the second question is what is the status of English in terms in education and language policies in Bangladesh. So the current status of English in Bangladesh is not a simple status. This is mainly due to the absence of what is called status planning. For English, there is no policy articulation about English that can be applied to the whole society. The National Education Policy or Ministry of Education 2010 includes chapter on all conceivable. So, forms of English education including adult non-formal education, women's education, religious and moral education, physical education, and legal education. But no chapter is dedicated to languages or language education. There are other ways of understanding the status of national and the global language and the relationships between them. While English has increasingly penetrated into Bangladesh under the influence of globalization, technology, and global flows of information. So that is the status of English education in Bangladesh, or the policies of English education in Bangladesh. So let's proceed to the third question. So the third question is describe the functions of English in terms of education, employment, media and entertainment, politics, NGOs, creative writing, electronic communication. So first in education. So what is the function of education in Bangladesh? So education is Bangladesh. Education is the key where English has an overarching presence, both a language for learning as a language in which students are expected to develop functional proficiency. So the second is employment. So what is the function of employment in Bangladesh English? So employment, the domain of this does not allow for an easy or reliable assessment of the rule of English. While jobs in a certain sectors may require high levels of English proficiency and other communication skills. So in general, English plays a more dominant role in a private sector than in a public sector. So that's the function of English in Bangladesh. The third one, the function of English in Bangladesh of media and entertainment. The rule of English in media and entertainment is the modest, as this sector uses mainly Bangla to cater to its domestic. So audience as well as a Bangladesh diaspora or diaspora around the globe. Hindi also has a significant role in entertainment, as Hindi music is quite common in public places. So the fourth is politics. So what is the role of politics in Bangladesh English? So Bangla in the language of politics and the political expressions in Bangladesh, using language as using language as a using language other than a Bangla in this field can be considered as a political incorrect within a serious repercussions. So that so to, non-government and organizations non-government organizations or what we call NGOs. So what is the role of NGOs in Bangladesh English? So let's see, or let's atong tan-awon kung unsay rule sa Bangladesh English sa NGOs ka, or a non-government organizations. So English probably has a strongest presence in a non-government. So non-government organizations, or what we call NGOs. So the NGOs Affairs Bureau of the Government Department of Overseeing NGOs operation in Bangladesh listed 2,600 such organizations as of November 2018. So what is so the NGOs so the NGOs have to communicate with global development partners for funding and other needs. So English is a default option for international communication. So what is the function of creative writing in Bangladesh English? So what is the function of creative writing in Bangladesh English? So although creative writing in English is a region dates back to the English or the early English 19th centuries, Bangladesh English in writing has yet to receive notable recognition because of the creative writing of English of Bangladesh English. So the function is this is English is a region dates back. Is the 19th century is a Bangladeshi writing English received notable recognition because of the creative writing. So the last one is electronic communication. So email communication in Bangladesh is characterized by the use of English. However, in the public sector, email is not the official form of communication, even though it probably constitutes the dominant form of communication. So, in the private sector, based on the extent nature or a type of purpose of English and use of e-government's industry. So this topic proposes the concept of government speak, which accommodations of writers of English, including received standard or RS. If we call received standard or RS, local rules and pidgins. So that's the functions of English or of the functions of Bangladesh English of the electronic communication. We talk different functions. They have different functions. They have different functions in English Bangladesh. So the last question is, what is code mixing, code switching, and technology mediated innovation? So first, we will know this. So good mixing and linguistic transgressions, and also found in the urban linguistic. So if we talk about good mixing, landscape, particularly in a science and a billionaires, for example, noted in Dhaka, include Lamye furniture written in. So as of good switching naman, if we talk, I think it's as the following of the MSc tax illustrate established business in Bangladesh. So blend English and Bangla to varying degrees to inform existing customers about products and services. So about products and services, For example of this is refers to a New Year's greetings, uses only English, all caps, probably to project a global identity of the business. So in addition to innovations of the sociolinguistics category exemplified above, innovations of the linguistic type can also be located in a various sources. So that's if we talk about like technology, mediated innovations, is so it's about a simplified it's a social, if we talk about that kay kuan siya sociolinguistic category siya, sociolinguistic category. So that's all we have we tackle about the Bangladesh English, and also we have different like naisay different nga kanang functions ang varieties ang Bangladesh English of education, sa employment, sa electronic communication, sa creative writing, and so on. A lot of functions. So the history of, we talk about the history of Bangladesh English, like how English na nagsugod sa Bangladesh, or how English nga nagkanang di talk about the English kung unsang English sa Bangladesh, kung unsa history sa English sa Bangladesh English. So asa nagikan ang Bangladesh English. So nag-talk po ta about good mixing, good switching, and the innovations of English. So that's all, and that's all about the Bangladesh English, and that's all. Thank